Hello Anish, a quick win today. If you can tell us what happened in the game.
Yeah, I was very happy to win today because my last two games have been very, very tough, and already it was not going well, but I even lost because it's one thing, you know, when you don't do well, but losing is it's a whole different level of pain, I have to say. And yeah, I had only myself to blame in that game, honestly. It's always nicer nowadays when you lose that you can at least think that maybe your opponent cheated, you know? But no, it was really not even close. I just blundered. Yeah, but I have to say, today I'm really happy that it went well. And I was very surprised because, okay, this bishop sack is thematic for this line, that's kind of the point. But I was really surprised that he sacked so fast. And then after that, he thought for a very, very long time. So I realized that, because, I mean, I thought he cannot sack. Like, I prepared this line today, but I was kind of so happy to get this position that I didn't really remember. Like, I was already so happy. I thought, like, if this happens, it's such an interesting position that, you know, it's all great. But somehow, because of that, like, I only remembered the bad positions in my prep, not the good ones. So I couldn't recollect, and I was thinking behind the board, and what I remembered seemed to make no sense to me. So I thought, you know, okay, maybe I'll just play over the board, because what's the point to play the move that you sort of remember, but then you don't understand the point, the plan. So I think the move I had in my file, it was, I'm not going to reveal what it was, but maybe it was not in this position because it was so strange and I couldn't make sense of it at all. So I played just normal b5, maybe b5 is also the move. And I double checked this bishop b5 because it's like the thematic thing. But so I thought he has to go a3. Then I was thinking about rook b8. Again, I was double checking bishop b5. I think bishop b5, a b knight b5, then queen b7, he has rook d6. Then maybe I have bishop e7 because there's this knight c7, rook e6 idea. It's like all of these kind of ideas I had in my course, you know, in my Neither course. So now I got to, you know, witness it myself. But I was thinking about that, so a3 rook b8, and I thought probably he cannot take. Of course, I double checked this all sack, and if he cannot take, maybe I'll go b4. And it was an interesting position. I was not sure, but then he sacked so fast. I got a little bit. I thought, okay, maybe some kind of prep or something, because he still hasn't spent that much time. But then he thought for very long, and I couldn't see what he can do. He can sacrifice, like he has to sacrifice the rook already if he wants to do something, either rook takes d6 or first, or rook to d6 after knight d6. But I don't think it's enough. I mean, he gets kind of good compensation for a piece, but it's a rook, so yes. I think it's probably not enough. And the endgame, I didn't realize how good it was. I mean, I felt like, because first I was terrified of the sacks. I first thought, okay, it shouldn't be worse. It feels even like I'm better. But somehow I thought like it shouldn't be that much better. Because in the game I won like in 3 moves. So I think it's a combination of maybe my position was better than I thought, and also he probably didn't defend well. Because originally I planned to put a bishop on d7 to prevent him from advancing. But then I realized that actually maybe I should go bishop to activate the bishop via a6. And yeah, in the game actually, he didn't play well, but it was hard for him anyway, because I'm going to push on this. On the king side, it's so nice to have this knight on e5, and after g5 I go h5, h4, then he has to make a concession. If he goes h3, then I go with the knight to f4. Somehow, yeah, he of course played it really badly, but maybe anyway it was good for me. So yeah, it was a really lucky break, because the last 3 games have been very difficult, even not just the result, but also the games. No, Aditya guessed the opening very well, and I guessed it completely wrong. Then the day after, again, my opponent got a very interesting position. You know, he was the one attacking most of the game. And yesterday too, okay, we got some tense position, and I mean, I shouldn't have lost, but to be fair, I wasn't. Before I blundered already, I'm already slightly worse. So I cannot say it was just a blunder alone. So it was just a tough game as well. So yeah, it was, you know, for a change, it's nice when you play so many low-rated players that one of those games goes well, because the idea should be that, okay, people who have low rating, that they make mistakes more often than people with high rating. But it's not always happening, but it's nice to see that, okay, sometimes it happens, and I can also get lucky.
Right. Would you like to share with us what you did on your rest day yesterday?
Oof, this is really embarrassing, because there are so many interesting things you can do in Qatar. Well, the highlight, I mean, so the highlight of my personal rest day, so I've played 5 minutes of table football. Okay. Which was, it would have been maybe 15, but it was outdoors, so it was very hot. And I had dinner with a friend, which was very nice, and we went out of the hotel. We made like 15 steps outside the hotel, which was a big change for me because normally I'm staying inside. I didn't realize the other food options are so close. Maybe I'll do that more often. But yeah, you can do this camel stuff. You can also hold eagles. You can walk around the beautiful cultural village. I think it's called Cultural Village in Qatar. Yeah. There are so many beautiful things you can do in Qatar and Doha, but I haven't done any of them, unfortunately. It's just too hot, and the thing is also, I'm kind of alone without a wife or a second, so. It's easier when you have the company to go. So I have some friends, but I don't want to bother them, and drag them along somewhere. So it is also really hot. I think the heat was the excuse. I think that's the one I'll go. I'll go with the heat excuse. That's the one. It was too hot, so that's why I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, one final question I wanted to ask last day, because we saw that you were spending so much time with Rudik and also sharing a smile after the game. It is not every day that we see that a player who has lost against an opponent analyzing the game and also not only analyzing but also smiling and taking it lightly. Would you please tell us what was the conversation, because we understood that you were talking in the Russian. So if you can tell us what was the discussion about. Did you miss anything that he pointed out?
No, but I mean, smile doesn't reflect your inner states at all. This. I mean, there are some people like this Joker, in Batman. He smiles like while killing people, so it's not like his smiling is necessarily a sign of joy. But I guess I smiled because maybe he said something which was funny, or. We had an interesting discussion about the game. I think it was a very complex game, so I was curious what he thought, but it seemed that he had absolutely no clue about the evaluation either. The game was very odd for me as well, because it was so incredibly complex. Like, for example, just to give you an example of how complex it is, like when I was afterwards looking at first at the Chess24 website, because when I just get the phone here, I look at that before I have a chance to analyze with the good engines. So then, depending on sometimes you get one stockfish, and if you're not logged in, you make a move, you get another stockfish. So depending on which stockfish, one would say like plus for white, then it would get the other stockfish, it would say, depending on the version of stockfish, and stockfish 11, I think is like still 3400 or something, but that one was misevaluated as compared to stockfish 16. So like, if even such strong engine assesses it so differently, then you can imagine that for human it's impossible to evaluate it well. So I was really confused, like clearly he was playing, also we were having like a funny banter, because like it was so clear that he was playing sort of for a draw, which is good. I like, as one player who likes to play for draw to the other, I respect that a lot. Like, it's fine, it's good to do that, it's cool. But he was denying that. That was the fun part. So I was like, okay, if you are denying that you're playing for a draw, then why did you play Queen B3? Because first of all, at knight d5, the idea is to go Queen B7 and repeat. Then after my move, why do you go Queen B6 and then back, like inviting a move repetition? But like for every my question, he had an argument. So that was like, because okay, it's one thing that I lose. I mean, it's fine with that. It's also the guy. Then afterwards, he's trash talking me like, I wanted to crush you anyway. Like, so I was like, so that was kind of funny because he's a very well prepared player, and I also lost him once online already before in a very interesting game. He played a novelty that I knew about, but I didn't react well, and then he completely messed up everything. And then in the end, I made a mouse slip, Oh. So I was thinking, and I lost. But I was thinking, now we play over the board. At least I want mouse slip. But still, I played very well. And we were discussing the game, and because, like, I didn't know because I felt that I should be kind of somewhere maybe better. And then I felt I messed up a little, so it should be kind of around equal. It should be within equality. So maybe I'm a little better, maybe he's a little better, but probably I'm a little better. But I was not sure. And then at one point, he played this move Queen G3. And then my kind of evaluation sort of swung the other way, because somehow I almost panicked to an extent. Like before that, I was kind of playing for a win the whole time, like thinking that even if I'm not better, it's still possible to outplay my opponent. But then suddenly I noticed he has a threat of bishop h3, and suddenly his pawn center, which looked weak, suddenly started to intimidate me in that moment. And I suddenly thought, like, maybe I was wrong all along. Maybe I'm just getting outplayed the whole time, And I was like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. I have more time and position is okay, so let me just I thought I have to take the knight because the move b5, which was the original sort of intention, if there was one, is met by sort of bishop h3, bishop e6, knight b6, and I thought like this is some sort of trick. But later I saw the computer just says you can play queen d6, so this whole thing doesn't work. You put this diagram, yeah, next to me here. Okay, good. Because otherwise I look very strange. So this bishop h3, bishop e6, knight b6, queen d6, and I just fine for me. And actually knight on b6 is trapped. So b5 actually is possible. Then of course there's no need to go bishop e6. Sorry, no need to go bishop c4. Also, even if you don't see b5, there is a move queen e6, which I also didn't see because it's a bit like I wanted to somehow this bishop h3. I wanted to immediately bishop e6 always. So that was the kind of the idea. So then I sort of thought maybe I'm worse, so I just took on c4, rook c4, b5, and my idea was that although it feels now like I'm a little worse. I thought he'll go rook c5, which is like the normal, normal move, let's say, the clamp down on the weak square. Then I go queen a7, target the d pawn, and of course my c6 pawn is horribly weak, but the d pawn is surprisingly weak too, and so I thought he'll probably go like queen c3, then I'll go like rook d6, e5 probably not working yet, then I want to double on the d file. His d pawn is actually quite weak as well, and I have this knight g6, knight f4 idea as well, and sometimes his king can get a bit weak because the g pawn is missing. So although it looked like I'm worse, I thought maybe I'm actually not really as much worse, especially if he doesn't play it in the most accurate way. Then I can sort of regroup, target the d pawn, regroup the knight by g6, and actually it's still fine. So I was kind of thinking, okay, it's all not too bad. Anyway, the worst that can be is that I'm slightly worse, and okay, who cares? And then he played rook c1, and I thought that yeah, of course he plays that because he was chasing my queen the whole time. Like he offered me like 3 queen trades in the game. So I thought he wants to go after queen a7, queen c3, queen c5. So I thought like, okay, fine. If you want to offer me queen trade another time, I don't care. I'll go queen a7, and then it dawns on me that like there's d5. Because before with the rook on c5, the rook was hanging, and now there's just d5. So then the first thought is, of course, like, always the thing is when you blunder, like always, the first question is like, how bad can it be? Like, how can you blunder, but probably there is something. Because earlier as well in the game, actually, a very nice moment, when I played queen c7 and he went queen b6, he had d5, which I also blundered. So already yesterday something was wrong because I blundered twice. So then d5, same move by the way, strange you blunder d5 twice. But then after d5, idea is that ed go knight b6. You have the diagram here, yeah? Ed knight b6, rook b8, knight d5. So that's very good for him. And then, so I had this like state of like complete shock because game just started. I already blundered, especially after queen b3 where he just wants to make a draw. So it's ridiculous to blunder queen 7. So at first I thought, okay, I lost after d5, total panic. Then I saw, okay, worst case I can go cd, knight b6, bishop c6, kind of positional exchange sack. The computer even says knight takes first and then cd. And okay, such position actually not so bad. Sometimes you blunder. And it's not the end of the world, and it's even okay. Like my best game ever, maybe against Donchenko, it started with a blunder as well, so it can be fine. So then it's the same thing later. So he goes d5. I think, okay, how bad can it be? Maybe it's okay, but then I realize it's really not, like, really not okay. So then I see it's like move 30. I think, okay, I could offer a draw, but then I thought, my position is such I could also resign. Actually, maybe that would be more polite. Because you can offer a draw in bad position, but this is like so bad. Like maybe like he'll start laughing or he'll ask me if I resign. So I thought, okay, offering a draw is not going to help me either. And then I was like, yeah, the d5, and suddenly like the whole game it was like within 0.4. Like somebody slightly better. I don't know who, white, black, depending on Stockfish version. And then it goes from all this 0.4 kind of evals to like +3 because like it's lost on the spot. So it's not like a blunder of a piece. It's not even a blunder of a pawn, but the move is so bad that you're like equivalent of a piece down. I mean, not even more, because +3 nowadays means that you are like lost. +2 I think already is kind of lost. +3 means you're lost for sure. So yeah, it was just really tough. But we discussed the game because. It was an interesting game, and I also want to, when I lose to especially a player I don't know, I want to know who I lost to, just to find out how deserved that was, how much he understood of the game. Did I see much more, at least, or maybe not? What was his real level in that particular game? So yeah, I can't say I can conclude much because. The position was very complicated. He didn't have a clear evaluation either, and he was just going with the flow. But I mean, in hindsight, he played well enough, of course. And okay, I cannot say I concluded much about him, but it was interesting certainly to discuss it. And also, when you lose a game so painful, you want to somehow get it over with and try to understand what happened, because you have to kind of move on. But I think the way to move on is to sort of really digest it and put it behind you, because if you don't do that, then you sort of move on, but it keeps coming back in your head. But I want to answer all the questions I have about the game, and once I've answered all of them, then I can try to move on. And now I'm back to the square one, with a score that is sort of reasonable. I'll get a good opponent as usual, and as usual, in kind of a must-win-ish situation, but just very tough. This kind of opens, of course, when you are not leading, or like 6 out of 6, like I was once in Qatar before. With a score like I have, you are like a little bit in the mud, and you gotta be lucky a little bit.
Thank you so much, Anish, for sharing those insights of the game, because we have interviewed Rudik. He also shared his points, but it was great to see you both sharing the analysis and also taking it lightly after the game. And as you mentioned, that it's very important to get answers of all the questions. That is very important. Great game today. All the very best for the rest of the rounds.
Thank you very much.